Okay, so I had a patron email me actually last week. His name's David, and pretty much he's calling me out just like that, and it's fine. It's fine. As a matter of fact, I encourage a lot of people to to go the extra mile, especially when these self-proclaimed kind of experts in the numismatics hobby come forward with various different types of claims and other erroneous information that may or may not be factual, um, and in a kind of like short and very blunt way, David had said in his email, um, hey man, I'm having a really hard time selling my coins, and you're out here saying week after week through the Monday market report and the pocket change market report that the market is strong, it's up, and blah 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 blah, and all this other stuff. Well, first and foremost, I feel like a broken record every time I have to say it every week. But you guys need to know that the market is indeed doing really well. It's continuing to kind of like make small little kind of baby steps up further northward for a lot of the coins. Now, what do I mean by a lot of the coins? Well, US type, nice grades, not necessarily top pops, errors, varieties, even some just generic, basic bulk type of coin lots, BU rolls, silver, junk silver, silver eagles. The whole PM market is just crazy right now. Nothing indicative of what the actual current spot price of silver is today. A lot of the silver bullion and ingots out there are selling for many times um, what the market price is. So yeah, just like any other self-proclaimed professional, as I said, the market's going up. Now, David went and, kind of like said through it all, prove it. What can you say to make me feel like that the market is where it is? And can you give me some pointers? If you're able to pump out whatever data that I need to show you guys that the market is indeed trending upwards. And it still is. In spite of the fact that other different types of collectibles have plateaued and maybe even retraced a little bit. Sports cards, most notable football and basketball cards, have seen a little bit of a price dip, especially for some of the more modern rookies and star veteran players. All right, but that's a completely different story. You guys will have to stay tuned to my other channel, Blue Ridge Collectibles, if you want to hear more about that. Um, so I'm taking on this challenge by David. All right, prove it. Okay, I will. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize my mug here to this. All right, so we're going to start out with what you see on screen. And this is going to be kind of like, this is going to set the stage for what we're going to talk about. The undisputed proof that the coin market is 10 to 20% higher than it was just 12 months ago. Okay, that's a pretty bold statement. Now, as you can tell, I didn't say it's up 50% or it's up 100%, unlike some of the other collectible indices. I just said 10-20%. It's important to know exactly what kind of that median jump is going to be when we're talking about the entire coin market and not just one specific type or denomination. That's important. Another thing you guys need to know is demand is so strong, even with available supply. And the one coin, and all it takes, ladies and gentlemen, is one coin that we're going to talk about in this particular video. And we're going to actually look at completed sales of this one singular coin to help drive home exactly what David is challenging. All right, so it's kind of like David versus Goliath, right? I mean, I'm a huge, big guy. I wish I were a lot lighter, maybe one day. So I am Goliath-like in that regard. So will David slay me in this one? Not so fast. I think I might have this one in the bag. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I've done lots of research. I've been able to drill down and compile all the information together. so that way we can intelligently have a conversation about this topic. Now, I've kind of bounced around because this is, I'll give David this. This is a very challenging thing to talk about, especially when you're trying to give the most kind of like general hypothesis about the entire coin market by talking about a few coins or trying to make sense of everything when the world of numismatics is so broad. There's, world coins, there's US coins, Canadian, there's PMs, there's exonumia. I mean, God, man, the world is huge when it comes to coin collecting, currency even. So I've thought about it. I'm like, is there a couple coins or a coin that I could talk about that is consistently being traded out in the marketplace today where I have enough data that we could pull up the last 12 months of information and show the trend from exactly 12 months ago, or maybe we could even go back 18, 24 months ago and see a consistent trend line that's going up, 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 and up to where we are today. Now, the coin market might finally be plateauing. I don't know. We'll find out in the next 6 months. But I have identified one very specific coin that not only is it a really nice type piece, but it is the king of kings of varieties. And I'm going to show it to you here momentarily, but I'm going to give you a really, really good reason why I chose this coin. And that's going to be the 1955 doubled die obverse. This is the FS 101 variety. This is the big doubled die that everybody strives to own. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's not particularly rare. There are a ton of these to help fulfill demand. All right, you guys need to know that. When there are so many of these being publicly traded, whether it's on eBay, whether it's by sales on websites, from established coin dealers, or maybe some of those higher end auction sites like Heritage, Great Collections, who else? Legend Morphe, Stax Bowers, David Lawrence, you name it. There's a bunch of different like higher tier websites that sell specifically this coin in varying different degrees of grade. All right, so we've identified the one coin that we are going to focus on because there is just a wealth of various different sales that have occurred in the last 12 to 18 months that this is going to drive home the point that I'm making. And in addition, this is a coin that is desired by a lot of people, all right? And there is more than enough supply out there to fulfill demand, all right? So it's not, the numbers won't be artificially skewed by the fact that there's only 100 of these in existence. There are thousands of this coin out there, in grades as low as XF to as high as mid-state 65 or 66. I mean, the range is wide, ladies and gentlemen. In addition, this is a coin that up to a certain grade, all right, fulfills kind of what I like to call the collector type of piece. All right, these are coins that aren't like worldly expensive where you have to take out a second mortgage. But if you had like say a few $1,000s, you could buy a really nice, honest, problem-free example for a collector set. But however, this coin can also be slotted into the investor portfolio as well. Coins that grade mid-state 65 red, brown, or brown, and higher are what I consider to be those coins that fit the mold of a investor portfolio. These are coins that constantly and consistently to this day sell for $25K and up. All right, so I'm happy to say that number has gone up, and you're going to see here in a moment. So how do we transition from here? We've identified the coin, the variety, that this is like a coin that's constantly traded, not only probably a weekly basis, but pretty close to a daily thing. We see a lot of 55 DDOs being sold. All right, so let's go ahead and examine the population report for the 1955 double-to-die obverse Lincoln cent. Now, this is information pulled off of PCGS.com. So we're just going to take a look at PCGS figures. So we have 3 different lines. Of course, they're by color designation. We have brown, we have red brown, we have red. Full red is the most desirable, okay? Those are like minty red fresh, as if they were minted yesterday in some instances. But if you look across the board in brown, okay, so we have mint state 60. Of course, these go back, like AU and XF and all that stuff. But this is going to be an important piece of data for you guys to know about. So in brown, in mint state 60, there are 11 pieces. In 61, it's 50. And then 541 in mint state 62. And then where you see this 3, 6, and 9 are plus grades. So they got half a point grade higher designation for that respective numerical grade. All right, so we got 541 in 62, 563 in 63, 258 in 64, and only a paltry 12 in 65. And of course, we have that one lone 66 brown. And then you see it just kind of, the same information dilutes its way down to each one of the color designations as you get into what I consider to be the more desirable, the more collectible, the more investable grades and color designations. So as you can see, it really does top off at mint state 65. It doesn't matter what color designation for all three types: brown, brown, and red. All right, so what I wanted to do for this particular exercise is examine 2 different grades. Okay, we're going to look at, I think I have it set up at AU55, which is a very common, acceptable, market acceptable collector coin grade, AU55, where it's not ridiculously expensive, but if you wanted to have one and you've saved up enough money, you could get one and add it to your collection, and it would be a coin that in time will appreciate in value, but you'll be able to get your money back off of it when it's time to liquidate that piece. The next grade that I also wanted to look at was kind of like a middle mid-state grade. I think I have it set up at either mid-state 62 or 63. And we're going to take a look at the last 12 to 18 months of market activity for both of those grades. So let's go ahead and transition over to the actual website. So we're going to use Great Collections, number 1, to take a look at that last 12 to 18 months of these particular grades. All right, so we have it on the page. I have it on Auction Archive Classic, and I typed in, as you can see right here, 1955 double-to-die obverse AU55, and it's under the Lincoln wheat cent back section. All right, and we're going to look at Great Collections, and then we're going to look at mid-state 62, I believe is the other grade. And then we're going to pop onto a site called 130 Point. So if you guys don't know what 130point.com is, it's one of my favorite sites to go to figure out how much some of those buy it now listings on eBay with the best offers have sold for. Because customarily, you go onto eBay, you look on sold items of anything, okay? It doesn't matter what it is. And people have put offers on specific items, and those merchants have accepted the offer, but they won't tell you how much that offer is. They'll just show a green dollar figure with a slash, all right? But it doesn't give you anything else above and beyond that, like, it's sold for $150 or something. It just shows the original price with a slash in there. But the green color designation means it's sold. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now we're going to have to go all the way down because I put time ending soon, but it leaves all of the older stuff way at the top. We're going to have to go all the way to the bottom to get to the current 2021 listings. All right, so let me go ahead and move my head over right here, so that way you guys can see this. All right, so the first listing that you see here was one that sold February 14th of 2021. Now keep in mind, these are all AU55s. As you can see, here's a brown designation, which means the patina is like a full brown. We do have a red brown in there, but the prices are so very similar, and they sold just about 1 month apart. And then here in January 3rd, after the first of the year, another AU55 brown CAC bean sold for $16.90 and 88 cents. So if we were to go up to some of the older listings, we could see right away that in December, an AU55 had sold for $14.45, which is about $250 less than some of the more recent sales of the last 30 to 60 days. All right, that's pretty interesting. But if we go back, you'll see some that are a little bit higher. All right, so keep in mind, this is July through September of 2020. The market was already taking off, so you could see that some of the coins have reflected that in sales. Even in NGC graded, sold for $18.32. All right, so let's go back to right here, like this February level. So you could see even CAC graded coins, PCGS, AU55, like this one right here sold for $14.41 and 12 cents. This one right here is sold for $14.11 and 88 cents. And in April, this was right after the country shut down for the pandemic. Here's an example here, CAC bean in an old green holder that sold for $16.48. So the market all of a sudden had already made this upward trajectory, and it was a pretty sharp spike at this point from one to the other. Because look, in May, a month later, another one sold for near the same price as that April example, $16.92. If we go back a little bit more, as you can see, this is June of 2019. This example, NGC graded, keep in mind, another NGC example in AU55 had sold more recently for like $1,600 to $1,700. This one sold for $13.78 and 12 cents. As you can see, you go back a little bit further, there are a few coins that are 15.18, 16.42. Now, you have to treat the coin market as kind of like the stock market. If you were going to look at a line graph, it's going to make peaks and valleys like this. So certain coins will sell for a little bit more in that particular time frame. Some will sell for less. So you got to keep that into consideration. But you got to see, folks, just in AU55, the trend line is going up. All right. So we have definitely seen a 10 to 20% increase in the value of an AU55 brown 1955 Lincoln Cent double die. But you see how frequent this one particular grade has sold in the last 12 to 18 months. We looked at a good dozen coins, which is quite a bit because we're not taking into consideration the AU53s, the AU50, XF45, Mid-State 61, 62, and all the color variants. There was a lot of these guys that have sold in the last 12 to 18 months. But as you can see, kind of like that average price model from 2-3 years ago has been at $1,300 to $1,500, where today, for this grade, you're at $1,600 to $1,700. So that is 10 to 20% increase. All right, so that is the AU55. Let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit better grade type coin. And that's going to be your Mid-State 62. I hope this is the one. It's either 62 or 63 that gives us enough data to show. But we're going to start all the way at the bottom like we did. And again, you're going to see some browns, some red browns mixed in there. Of course, this is an NGC graded piece. There's another brown. So the most recent sale on Great Collections for a Mid-State 62 brown was February 14th, good old Valentine's Day, for $2,278. And you could see just in the last, say, 5 to 6 months in September, it has averaged that $2,100 level. Okay, this one here is sold for $1,953. But you go back a little bit further. Right here, May 24th, this was right after the country shut down. This one example sold for $2,507. Here's one in August, more recently, that sold for $22.50. But here's the kind of cool part to all this. Here's an example that sold October 6th of 2019 for $17.49. Now, here's one here that sold for $23.62. However, there is a few factors that go into the actual value of this coin that's above and beyond just the normal coin price. It's an original old green holder, which some would say those coins that were graded during the 90s when this one occurred, those were conservatively graded. All right, so people will pay up to the next level, 63 prices for coins like that. Here's one that's CAC certified for $21.94. That was June 30th. But as you can see, the prices are all over the place. Of course, eye appeal plays a pretty big kind of role in all this. I mean, look at this one here that sold April 14th of 2019 for $26.55. This is a red brown, but it's also toned. So people pay up a little bit more for those type of coins, and there's only one bid. So this was the actual ask price by Great Collections, and someone actually put a bid on that one coin because they liked the look of it. But here's a couple more regularly priced coins in 2018, November, and then a couple more in 2019. So we got 1700 to 1660 here. All right, so you could see just the prices. This is a full red example on the 62. That's why it sold for 4,400. But as you can see, the prices have increased in the last 12 to 18 months. And now, you know, a coin that was selling for 12 to 18 months ago for $1,700 to $1,800, now we're up to, this is $1,950. Here's almost $2,300. Let's call it an average of $2,150, shall we? So even in Mint State 62, we are seeing the prices jump up 10 to 20%. I mean, how much more evidence that you need in any other coin, all right? And this is the perfect coin to model with because it's a classic. I mean, the coin is not incredibly old. It's not like it's 200 years old or 100 years old. It's a 55, you know. There's still 55 Chevys driving out on the road today. But this is a very investable, a great commodity level coin for investors. And it's a marquee key date of modern coins, 55 DDO. All right, so we're going to jump on to 130 point. And we are going to take, I had already looked through some of the coins, but as you can see, 130point.com, and you just go under eBay sales completed, and you type in either the listing name, like copy and paste it, or you just type in something of your own. So I did 1955 Lincoln double die obverse. And then starting from the top, AU58 Brown, CAC stickered by NGC, sold for $2,750, which sold March 31st. This actually sold for more than what a Mint State 62 example had sold for. Right? Crazy how that happens. But this is, it starts out when I do this, pull this report, it starts out with the most recent, and then it funnels down to some of the older stuff. All right, so as we continue on, our next one is going to be this Mint State 61 Brown by PCGS that sold for $2,495, which is more than the Mint State 62 that had sold. Here's a raw example. It looks in pretty decent shape, but I would be worried that that coin was cleaned. That one also sold for $2,500. Here's a Mint State 64 Brown, NGC graded, CAC certed, $42.50. This is a beauty. Mint State 65 by PCGS. It's a red brown. It sold for $16,500. We're getting more into the investor type grade and coin right here. Here's a AU50. You guys are wondering about AU50s? Here's our first one. Sold for $2,022. Buy it now sale. Right there. So that was an accepted amount for that one. And then the ones you get to that say current bids or whatever it is, it'll say current bids. Here's a Mid-State 62 Brown, kind of like the ones that we were looking at on Great Collections website. This one sold for $2,650. So this is more info and ammunition that I needed to prove David wrong. As you guys can tell, the values are just continuing to skyrocket. Here's another AU55. What did it sell for? $2,495. It would seem to me that it would be a little bit more worthwhile to buy your example of this particular variety on Great Collections, right? And even using their auction archives on that website, it's shown a pretty steady increase over time of these coins. People recognize that coins are a great collector type piece or an investment piece. Someone obviously overpaid for a poor man's double die at $550, so that one is just... we do have an UNC detail, which means this coin was probably cleaned. Still, the coin sold for $2,100.34. And then we're going to end it off, I think, on this one. But I'll let you guys look at this AU58 that sold for $2,200 as well. This is a Mid-State 65 Red Brown. The other one that we looked at a short moment ago sold for $21,000 and some odd dollars. We have this one right here that sold for $22,500. So, good stuff. Amazing. Just amazing. Yeah. So, pretty incredible. Incredible stuff. That, that just how much these things are going for is mind-boggling to me. And, I don't know where the end is going to be, obviously, but I just want to let you guys know, for straight up beautiful collector and investor level type coins, they're continuing to trend up. Not as quickly as some people like, but it's also nice to see that it's a nice steady increase across the board of such coins. But I also wanted to take a moment to talk about what it takes to take advantage of the current market that it is right now. And it's real simple. A lot of the, I guess we could say, overachieving levels of sales have all stemmed from online efforts. All right. So if you were trying to sell your coin locally or going to a coin shop, it doesn't work out that way. First of all, we know coin shops pay gray sheet or wholesale or however you want to term it to own your coin. So obviously they're going to pay you a lot less than what the market is. It's not indicative of what the real world market is going to be. That same individual, and God bless their heart if they have an online presence or if they have an eBay store, will turn around and sell it for what the market is currently. So that's what I wanted to say. If you could find a way to sell your coins online, whether it's through Facebook Marketplace or through one of the BSTs on there, Instagram is another popular selling forum for those type of things. Or guess what? Some of those forum pages like Coin Talk, Coin Community, with actual BST, actual areas on there is another great choice. Or consigning your items to eBay or through PWCC if you're into sports cards, or David Lawrence or Heritage or Great Collections. Depending on the coins you have, there is always going to be a fit for it. It's like with a car, there's a butt for every seat, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about. Sorry to keep it so long and drawn out, but I wanted to clearly define and show the information that's online for one particular coin that helps exemplify the market There are a few other coins I would say that would kind of like fit in that mold. You know, some of the more perennial key dates, the 1916D Mercury dime is another good one to use because those coins, in spite of its a little bit shorter mintage figure, there's enough to fill demand. There's enough supply to fulfill demand, yet we're seeing steady increases even in that particular coin as well. So that's going to go ahead and do it. I want to thank you guys for joining in on this video. We are at the end of the month, so I wish you guys a great rest of the March month. And that's it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for instant notifications. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound Coinaholics. It was a pleasure. We are discovering together. You guys take care. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.